So now let's look at example number 3. It says the State Ferry Service charges $18 per ticket plus a $3 surcharge to fund planned equipment upgrades. It expects to sell 4,700 tickets during the 8-week summer session, and during the period, the ferry service will experience $110,000 in labor costs. Materials required for each passage sold cost $1.3, and this involves tickets, tourist information sheet, and the like. And finally, overhead costs during the period comes to $79,000. And so we are asked to find labor productivity and also multi-factor productivity ratio. And here we have additional information which says if ferry support staff work on average of 310 person hours per week for the 8 weeks of the summer session, what is the labor productivity ratio? And so we are supposed to calculate labor productivity on an hourly basis. So to answer this question, we're going to develop the model exactly the way we did in example 1 and example 2. So we're going to use Excel to develop the model, and and in this case, we will use the same formula that we developed in example number 2. So all I can do is just copy the formula which we had, and I'm going to paste them here. We're supposed to find labor productivity and also a multi-factor productivity. And you can remember the formula for labor productivity. We had it in our first example, and this is the formula we developed. And so I'm going to copy it and just paste it here. So that shows the labor productivity. And then I'm going to define the output, and also I will define the inputs. So let me start with the output. We have seen from this example that we have, or the company is expecting to sell 4,700 tickets during the 8-week summer season. And therefore, these are the units that this company is expecting to sell. And so here we have 4,700 units, or we can say tickets. Let me put in bracket units. And we are also told that each ticket is sold for $18 plus the $3 surcharge. So we're going to add that information here. And so I'm going to write $18, the price per ticket. And then we have $3 the surcharge per ticket. So let me write here to make this information a little clear. And so we're going to find how much the ticket will cost when we have price plus the charge. So all we're going to do here is to add the price and the surcharge. So we have $21, which is the price and the charge altogether. Now we can actually find revenue, meaning that we see how much we get, or how much this company will get if it sells 4,700 number of tickets. So in this case, I'm going to write here revenue, and therefore we will take, we're going to put equal sign, and we'll click on the price times the units, or the number of tickets sold. Remember, revenue is the price times units, or price times quantity. And so that's the output in terms of revenue. So we can look at the output in terms of the number of tickets that are sold, but also we can look at how much we get from the tickets, and that's the revenue. And so we can now look at inputs. And in this case, we have the labor cost, the material cost, and overhead cost. So I'm going to write here labor cost, okay, material. But let me first start with the labor cost here. We know that the labor cost will be 110,000. So that's the labor cost. So for the material cost, we are told that each ticket or the bundle will cost $1.3. And so he will say, for material cost, we'll say, we'll write 1.3 is the cost of materials per ticket, or per bundle. And therefore the overall cost of material will be this, the cost of materials per ticket times the number of tickets sold. So I'm going to put equal sign there and click on this $1.3 times the number of tickets, and that will give us the overall cost of the materials. And finally, we have overhead expenses. Overhead expenses is given as $79,000. And so in this case, we can actually find the total input cost. And the total input cost, we are going to add the labor cost, material cost, and overhead expense. So I'm going to click on the labor cost and add the overall cost of materials, and also I will add the overhead expenses. And so the total input cost will be this much, and let me highlight it. So now we have output, and also we have inputs. But we are asked to find the productivity of labor. So let me highlight this a little different. We need to find productivity of labor. And in this case, all we have to do is we can use the number of units, which is our output, per the labor cost, or we can actually use revenue per the labor cost. So let me write here labor productivity, and so we will put equal sign, click on 4,700 divide by the labor cost, and in this case we'll get this much. And here we have units per dollar spent on labor. Or we can actually use revenue and therefore we'll use revenue as our output, and we'll put equal sign, click on the revenue, divide by the cost of labor, and so that will be our the revenue accrued, and so I'm gonna write here revenue per dollar spent on labor. So that's this two actually explains labor productivity. Now, if we are to look for the multi-factor productivity, so all we have to do, if we are to look for the multi-factor productivity, we can put equal sign, and so we can look at output in terms of units divide by the overall total cost, or we can actually take the revenue divided by the total input cost. So I'm going to start with the units, the number of tickets, and so I'm going to click here, divide by the overall total input cost. Remember, we're talking about the multi-factor productivity, and so that's what we can get. Units per dollar spent on inputs. In this case also, we can look at this in terms of revenue, and therefore we have revenue here. This is revenue, so we can click on the revenue, divide by the total inputs. So we click here and enter. So let me put this to 2 decimal points. So in this case, we have revenue per dollar spent on inputs. That's how we can find the multi-factor productivity in this question.